All right. I just got finished done with my speech. Like I can never get it right. So I'm always studying up until this moment. So I wanted to talk today about psychometry, right? I talked last week about mediumship, but I should have actually started out a little bit with about energy and how energy works. And I probably have to do this every time I speak now, because if you don't know how energy works, none of this will make sense. Or some of it will make sense, but you'll be lost. Because, first off, everything is energy, right? There's nothing that is not energy or does not have a energetic signature or vibration or resonance or whatever you want to call it, right? So, since everything has a vibration, it has its own tone, I guess. And we all have our own tone. Like, even if you're twins, each twin has their own tone still. So it can be differentiated on a certain level. So uh, trees, we have to look at that as being energetic and have their own tone. That way, when you go and you hug a tree, then there's something that you can probably feel, unless you think it's dead, right? It's just a tree, right? So we have to start thinking of everything like that. Uh, your car, right? It has a tone. Why? Because it's made of certain things, and those things have a resonance or signature as well. So I talk to my car, right? And that's how we're going to have to start doing it. I talk to my crystals. They actually talk back, right? Or they share information or they share vibration. So everything has vibration. So psychometry is just that. You can feel that vibration. Some people will bring old jewelry, right? And if you are in a certain space in your head and your consciousness, you can feel the energy of that jewelry, that piece of jewelry. Like, you can feel the energy of the person that wore it. You can feel the energy of the person that made it as well, right? And if it's been through different generations of people, you can tell it leaves a signature. So that's what psychometry is. I can touch anything, and it can tell me something, right? I'm energy just like it, so we're communicating. That's how we're going to be able to talk to things. Like, I remember James always he was a native, he had native blood, and my other friend has native blood, and they would always say that he could feel the natives riding from north to south, right by here, right? Because this was one of the routes from back then, where they would ride from north to south down to Galleria or wherever, So that's how we have to start looking at things if we want to understand how things work, or we have these things give us information, right? Everything, like the space between you and I, it also has an energy. There's nothing that is not nothing. Everything is something, even the space in between. And so, even with the mediumship, right, we're just getting that energy from this other side, or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes I hate to say other side anymore, because it's right here. It's not over there anywhere, it's right here. Because when you think it's the other side, people think, well, I got to go over there. And in truth, you don't have to go anywhere, right? But everything is about energy. And I talked a little bit before about being a good person, and that's relative. But that means being a positive person, right? That means your energy you give off is going to be positive, right? Because people can feel that, right? And if you can't feel that, then you're in your mind a lot. This person is cute, they're tall, and they speak well, but you don't feel them. So like, if you walk up to me, I already know what you're about because you're giving me this energy, right? You can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but this is what I feel, right? From playing around with this energy for so long, this is what I feel. And everybody can do that, right? When you're talking to people, before they open their mouth, I have a certain feeling about it. It doesn't have to be, I mean, sometimes it's negative because then I'm like, okay, have a good day, I'm out, right? But you should be able to feel everything around you. It's called the subtle energies because we don't pay a lot of attention to it. We pay a lot of attention to bombs and boom, but this little subtle energy that runs through everything. That's why people talk to the trees because there's certain energy they're dealing with, right? I talked a little bit before about sound energy. That's the way we're going to start healing people by getting them into a sound bath and the tone that will balance out whatever illness they have. There's a balance. And once it finds that tone, then it's like, okay, I'm going to sleep. Everything is that way. Every single thing is that way. And it's coming to be that way. I just bought me a Lego brass bowl, but you can stand in it. And then I'm going to start using that. So you stand in it and you give yourself some tones. And that is going to help you shed whatever it is you want to shed. Your intention is going to be important when you're doing that, right? So all this is energy, and everything is there to show you who you are, really, right? Everything is there to be like, this is who you really are. It's like, I'm going to show me so you can figure out who you are. I had a friend that emailed me, I think this morning early, and he was talking about, people were talking about world peace and the Baha'i faith and such, and it was like, I mean, you know, I'm okay with all that, long as you know who you are first, right? You know where your energy is first. If you want to heal the earth, you have to start with yourself first. You got to find what your energy is first. Otherwise, if you don't know yourself and you get into a relationship, you're going to just go back and forth. They want me to be this way, I'm going to be this way. They change their mind, I'm going to be this way. But if you know yourself, this is my vibration, this is who I am, and this is who I will always be, right? Then you're not push and pull by all the other things coming on. Most people don't know who they are, right? Most people are, I posted something on social media, and this lady was like, what was somewhere? She was like, I don't believe this is coming from you. And it had to do with something else, you know? And I was like, listen, you get triggered by me saying something, you know, then that means I'm controlling you, right? So if you're easily triggered, then you're easily controlled, right? And she came back and she apologized and stuff. And it was about people eating pets, right? And it was funny to me, you know, and she was like, I can't believe you. And I was like, look, I lived that. I lived on an island. We had no running water, right? We had an outhouse. We had to carry our water. When I mean carry water, you get buckets of water, you carry water, right? So I also mentioned, look, I had to kill the pet rabbit because that's how we ate, right? So it's like, it's not a big deal, you know, but I'm not triggered by what other people say or whatever, you know, but I had to say my piece there, you know, because people don't really know your background. You're like, I'm standing up here, but it's like, look, our kitchen was the floor, like the floor. No wood, no nothing, right? So I've lived all that stuff, you know, so that's what they have to do. That's what they have to do. These are just events. Even if they're doing it, I don't care. You know, I'm not going to give my energy to that thing, right? So energy is like the most important thing in any of my lectures. I probably should have started with this every single time. You know, energy. How do you feel? You know, how do you feel? You know, take a deep breath. How do you feel? And I had to go through this. Is this something my mother told me, or my dad told me, or my teacher told me, or is this something I feel? Right? So I had to go through all this discernment, and then I realized, oh, this is who I am. This is who I will be. This is who I was before. I just didn't know it. Right? When I was young and in the service, and and being pushed and pulled and emotional roller coaster and stuff. That's because I didn't know who I was. Right? And then I got a little boost from a guy called Bob Marley, right? Who looked like me, right? I didn't have the hair yet. He looked like me, and he was able to speak his truth, and everybody was happy, right? We all loved it, right? And so I was like, okay, that's him. Now I see myself as I can do this thing, and so my task has always been to speak. It was the scariest thing for me, my first speech, but I had to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten my associate's degree from ACC. I had to do a speech, right? And since then, I can't shut my mouth. But I was meant for this. Like, this was my energy. Like, I've been reading for years and years and years and years and years. I didn't know why, right? Spirit knew why. I didn't know why. But it was so that when I open my mouth, they use the words in my head and it comes out, right? That's my mediumship, right? Everybody else has their own way of doing that. Mediumship. Again, we got to broaden that word, right? Michael Jordan, he's a medium. He doesn't know it. He just thinks, I'm the best basketball player ever, right? But he got in that zone where he knew who he was. He had his energy straight. And then Spirit could help him produce whatever it is. Usain Bolt, same thing. He's a medium. He just don't know it. But he put his head down. I think what they said was, we've seen him run for a total of maybe 10 minutes. Total. 100 meters, that's only 10 seconds, right? 200 meters, 20. But he's trained for 10 years to get to that point. But he knew who he was. He was like, this is what I'm meant to do. It's a feeling inside. You got to find that feeling, right? I can just tell you about my feeling. You have to do that. Find that for yourself. And that's why you do meditation, so you can be quiet. It's just to quiet your mind, quieten the job thoughts, the work thoughts, even the kid thoughts, and then you will talk to you. Your higher being will talk to you, or you call them your angels will talk to you, or your guides will talk to you, right? All that's happening. And that's all those nomenclatures are just another word for your higher self. This broader part of you, this broader energetic part of you that's been with you for the longest, forever, right? Longer than you've been in your body, it's been with you, right? So it's been with you for a long time. So once you can feel that energy and know what that energy is, then things start happening for you better, right? More. But you have to find that God in you is what they're calling it, right? That peace in you that was there before you were in a body, and will be there once you dump the meat wagon here, right? It's always going to be there, but once you can find that, and when you're looking at people, that's what they're offering you. Oh, this is what I'm not, or this is what I am, or I like that, I'm going to try that, or if he can do that, I can do that, right? That's all they're offering you is a reflection, right? So you can be like, oh, I hate that. And then you can be like, okay, what about me hates that? Because it's nothing to do with that at all, right? And they're just mirrors. They're just showing you stuff. When I look at people, I see myself, right? When I look at one, I see my mom. I see myself, right? When I look at Peter, I see my pops, right? We're all connected. And until we think that, we treat people different, right? I respect Wanda just like I respect my mother and any female, right? Because we're all connected. We all have this certain energy that we need to get in touch with. And then once we get in touch with that and we touch things, then we can communicate with those things, right? Because they're offering information as well, right? The watches, it all, the crystal skulls for us, the person that carves it, their energy is in there, right? We have some that are carved by a machine. That's energy is different than the one carved by a person, right? Even though it's a crystal, right? But it retains this memory, this information, and it's accessible to all of us. If we don't know it, then we touch everything, and we may get a vibe and we think, "Oh, that's me." No, that's information you got from this thing or this person. That's not you, right? But if you don't know you, then you'd be like, "Hey, right? You want to throw down or what?" It's like, no, just offering information, right? But once you find this peace in yourself, everything flows much easier, right? And psychometry is easier. Being in medium is easier. All the different kinds of medium, physical, all the different kinds where you can hear, you can feel, like it's all much easier once get in touch with this thing inside you, right? It's always talking to you, and then what's happening is your higher being is, then when we're talking about giving messages, your higher self is talking to their higher self, and then they're passing you a message because you're not listening, right? Because if you're listening, you would know what the message is already. It'd be much purer to you, right? So psychometry is that way. Everything offers a vibration. It's like here, here's me. Here's where I'm from, right here. And I'm talking about the crystals as well, because you can touch the crystal and it can tell you where the other ones are, where here's my family is, because everything is connected. Energy, everything is connected, right? So, but they're all communicating now. Jesus never stopped communicating, right? God never stopped communicating, right? We just lost our way, or what's that word? The veil came down so that we couldn't do damage to other people, kind of. Because if you have a certain negative energy, then you can affect other people that have a positive energy, right? If they're not watching it, then they can catch it. And that's why at some point we have to wear, or other people wear suits around us, because most people, most higher civilizations only have, say, maybe 2% negativity running around their whole civilization, right? And guess what? We have maybe 20 or 25 or 30%. And they're like, how are y'all surviving this? Let me watch and see, right? But what we're doing is we're showing other people how to deal with negative situations. Like some people, their games have no losers. So what's happening to them energetically is they can't grow because they're not stumping their toes, so they can be like, oh, let me just regroup and see what's coming on and what's new, right? And so we're going to teach people how to deal with it, negativity, in a better way, which is just energy that we're giving off, So, and the world peace, once you have individual peace, world peace happens automatically. We don't have to worry about world peace. We have to worry about individual peace. I always say that once we get individual peace, then everything outside looks good to us, right? And then once that spreads, then yeah, we have world peace. But for somebody to say, I want world peace, let's go do it, it will never happen, right? It's a good thought, but what you want to do is love your neighbor as yourself. Because people that want world peace will fight with their neighbor, right? So you can have world peace and you don't like your neighbor. You can have world peace and you don't like somebody who's a different color than you, or a different height than you, right? So it starts with the self and this energy within you that you can control, right? And then once you get this energy going, then you can manifest things like ectoplasm, right? You know what ectoplasm is? Everybody produces this energy that you can build stuff with. You can make stuff with. Babaji used to have create bread out of this ectoplasm. The way we saw it is that we have, what is the black box called?
Cabinet.
Cabinet. So it's a cabinet, and we had it made out of PVC pipe. We had black drapes on it, and it was covered in black. And at night we would have our meetings, and then one person would go in the box, right, and we would sing and get in the vibe. And at some point, you could see the smoke around this person. That's ectoplasm, and we all can do that. Right, but you have to get in a certain vibration and be nice and be happy, and we sang songs, and that's why we sing songs here to get in the vibe before we start giving information, right? But we all can do that. Not just Jesus can do that, or Baba G, or whoever you think. We all can do that, right? I'll leave with this one thing. That's the one thing about that that upset me, but it's like, you're only saying half the things Jesus did, right? And he didn't say follow us. He said be like me, and this is what you can do, right? But I'm not fighting those people that say that. That's fine. That's, some people need to hear that, right? But this is the same kind of energy he was using that we have running through our body that we don't use, right? It's like we have this jet engine. We have this airplane that goes 1,000 miles an hour, and we're pushing it. But we don't know how it works. That's your body. We don't know how it works. Once you know how it works, you know what the energy is, then you start to go faster, and then you can fly at those speeds or whatever. But we don't know it yet. You know, I learned this from Sadhguru. When you're doing meditation, you have your hands like this. It has a vibration going. If you have your hands like this, the vibration is different. It's like that subtle. And then I had to go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, well now let me just listen some more. Because I thought I knew stuff. And it's like, oh, you know, and I like those moments where, you know, they hit my reset button. Because sometimes I know a lot. I know I don't know everything, right? But sometimes you hear this thing and it's like, oh, back to the drawing board. That's a good thing. Because when they hit your beliefs like that, it blows them up, and then you have to put it back together. But now you have new information. And then when you put it together, then you're a different person. You've grown, right? Ascension, or whatever you want to call that. You grow. That's how you grow when these things hit you. I've had some of those moments where it's like, oh, wow, okay, blown. But then, you know, people will be lost at that point, but it's like, fine. And then it comes back together, more information. With your information you have, some you're going to discard because of the new information. And then it's like, oh, I'm a different person. I'm a new person. I've grown. Not that you're better than anybody, but that you've grown, right? So all these things in this spiritualism world we can do, every single one of us. The kids are showing us right now. I watched this kid on social media. I think he's probably about 8 years old. And his mom is asking him questions, and he's talking like me right now. I'm 66. That kid's like 9 years old. So he's in contact with this thing I'm talking about already, right? As long as we don't send him to school and then they dumb him down or whatever. But we all can do that. And it's really easy, all right? It just takes practice, okay? So I am going to leave that with you today. And if anybody got any questions, I will take those afterwards, okay? All right, cool. Thank you for letting me share. Howdy, everybody online. Thank you for checking in. Have a good day.